Hi there. The I am statement that I chose is from John chapter 6, verse 35. I am the bread of life. He says, "Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst." And he says this, Jesus says this, right after having fed the 5,000. And he is making this connection there to the manna in the wilderness. This manna in the wilderness, which represented God's um, providential care for his people. God cared for them. God was able to provide for them and sustain them when they had no other hope. He was the source of their life out there in the wilderness. And yet Jesus points out in John 6:49 that your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness and they all still died. But he says, this bread, referring to himself, is the bread. This is the bread that comes down from heaven, so that one may eat of it and not die. And so in a way, maybe you could say reinterprets, or at least he reveals that the manna in the wilderness was actually pointing to him who would be the true bread, who ultimately, Jesus, represents more fully God's care for his people, God's provision to give his people life, to provide sustenance for them when they have no other hope. We use the same picture then when we're taking the Lord's Supper, when we're celebrating Lord's Supper, but we take it even, I would say, a step further, that not only is the bread of life Jesus, but that bread is broken for us. And so I hope that, so this is meaningful ultimately because it's the gospel. It's the fact that Jesus' body was broken to give us life for the forgiveness of sins so that we could be accepted before God. We think that, we can think that we need a lot of things. Things to make us happy, things to make us feel fulfilled, things to make us feel like we have purpose or value. But Jesus here, in saying this, using this picture of bread, is saying that Jesus' body, broken on the cross, is more important to us, is more important for our lives than the very food and water that we drink every day. Through his broken body, we have forgiveness of sin, acceptance before God. We've been made children of God. We have been given access to the throne of grace. In Jesus, through his life and his death and his resurrection, we behold what God is really like. We get to see the true beauty and goodness and truth of God. And then we can know that we will enjoy that beauty and that truth and that grace for the rest of eternity. If all that is true, which it is, through Christ's body then, through his broken body on that cross, I have more riches, more true life than whatever I could possibly have or lose in this life. What can man do to me? Suffering, persecution, nakedness, famine, or sword, and all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. That's through that bread of life, that sustaining work of Christ, that I can have true fulfillment here and now today. I know that I have the source of life that goes beyond physical life in Jesus. That is what is so meaningful to me. I hope that I hope that makes sense. By faith, through the bread of Christ, we can press on and have a hope that goes beyond all of our circumstances and have true joy. So, Jesus saying, I am the bread of life. That's why it's meaningful to me.